Hey, welcome back to Hustle to Harmony. I am your host, Johanna, and today I'm tackling a question that came in after I posted a reel about high functioning burnout. Someone asked me, isn't working really hard in the beginning expected along with burnout since it's a new business? I don't see how it's possible to not be or do everything when it's so early in the game. And I thought this is such an important question because it gets to the heart of one of the most dangerous myths in entrepreneurship. So let's talk about it. This question perfectly captures what I call the paying your dues myth. It's this idea that suffering and burnout and doing everything yourself isn't just expected early in business, but it's required. Like it's some kind of entrepreneurial rite of passage. And I'm here to tell you that that's complete bullshit. Here's what really happens when you buy into this myth. You start your business thinking you have to work 80-hour weeks. You say yes to everything. You sacrifice your health, your relationships, and your sanity to prove you're serious about business. You tell yourself, once I get established, then I'll scale back a little bit. Once I hit 6 figures, then I'll hire help. Once I have more clients, then I'll set the boundaries. But the problem is that the habits you build in the beginning become the foundation of your business. If you build your business on burnout, you don't suddenly get to switch to sustainability later. You get a bigger, more expensive version of the same burnout. The entrepreneur who starts by doing everything themselves does not magically become someone who can delegate effectively once they have a team. They become the bottleneck in an even bigger operation. Let me tell you exactly what happens when you burn yourself out in the early stages of business. First, you make terrible decisions. When you're exhausted, you're operating on adrenaline, and you're trying to do everything yourself, you do not have the mental clarity to think strategically. You're just in survival mode, reacting to whatever's in front of you. I have seen entrepreneurs make costly mistakes. Get bad hires, poor partnerships, pricing disasters, because they were too burned out to think clearly about what it was that they were doing. Second, you create unsustainable systems from the start. When you're doing everything yourself, you're not building systems. You're just being the system. And systems that depend on one person working themselves to death don't scale. They break. Third, and this is a big one, you train your market to expect burnout from you. When you respond to emails at midnight, take calls on the weekends, and say yes to everything because you're grateful for an opportunity, you're teaching people that you don't value your time or your energy. And if you don't value it, why should they? The clients you attract when you're operating from desperation and burnout are not the clients you want long term. They're the ones who will expect you to always be available, always say yes, and always undercharge. So what's the alternative? How do you work hard in the beginning without burning yourself out? First, distinguish between intensity and burnout. Working intensely on your business is completely different from burnout. Intensity is focused. It's strategic effort with very clear boundaries. Burnout is just scattered and desperate effort with zero boundaries. You can work intensely for very short periods of time when you're launching something important, but you recover after. You do not live there permanently. Second, build systems from day one, even if they're simple. Even when it's just you, you can create basic systems, email templates for common questions, a simple client onboarding process, a clear pricing that you stick to, boundaries around when you're available. They're not complicated, but they're the foundation that will let you scale without burning out later. And I have a link down below for the 8 systems that I feel are the most important in your business. It's going to walk you through what they are and a prompt for whatever form of AI you use to put in so that way you can have it customized to your business. So there's no questions asked. You just ask AI to make this system for you and then you implement it. So that's down below in the notes. Okay, third is you start saying no immediately. This is where a lot of people are going to push back, but I can't say no. I need the opportunity. Listen, Every opportunity you say yes to is an opportunity you're saying no to something else. If you say yes to the client who wants to pay you half your rate and expects you to be available 24/7, you are saying no to the client who would pay you your full rate and respect your boundaries. Opportunities you think you can't afford to lose in the beginning are often the ones keeping you from the opportunities you actually want. Fourth, invest in help sooner than it feels comfortable. I'm not saying hire a full-time team on day one, but there are things that you can get help with immediately that don't cost much and save you lots of hours. Virtual assistants for basic tasks, automated scheduling tools, email management systems, very simple accounting software. We're not going to eliminate all of your work from your plate in the beginning, but we're going to eliminate the work that doesn't require your specific expertise so you can focus on what actually grows your business. Here's what happens when you start sustainable habits instead of burnout. You make better decisions because your brain is not fried. You attract better clients because you're operating from value and not desperation. You build systems that can actually scale instead of depending on you to hold everything together. Most importantly, you get to enjoy building your business. You remember why you started. You have energy for creativity and innovation instead of just survival. I worked with an entrepreneur who spent her first 2 years doing everything by herself. She was working 70-hour weeks and barely breaking even. When she finally came to me, she was absolutely ready to quit. And I saw myself in her story because I was at the same point 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was. I didn't tell her she had to work less. I told her she had to work differently. We established boundaries with clients, and I helped her identify the 20% of activities that were generating 80% of her results. Within 6 months, she was working 30 hours a week and making more money than she had in those 70-hour weeks. All because she was finally working on her business instead of just in it. I'm not saying you don't have to work hard in the beginning, because you do. Building a business takes effort, it takes dedication, and yes, sometimes long hours, especially when you're launching something important. But there's a difference between working hard strategically and working hard desperately. Working hard strategically means that you're clear on your priorities. You have boundaries around your time and your energy, and you're building sustainable systems, even when it's just you. Working hard desperately means that you're saying yes to everything, available all the time, and just hoping that something sticks. The first approach builds a business. The second builds a very expensive job that you can never leave. So to answer the original question, no, burnout is not expected or required in early business. Hard work? Absolutely. Smart work? Yes. Burnout? That's a choice. And it's a choice that's going to cost you more than you think. If you're in the early stages of your business and you've been telling yourself that burnout is just a part of the process, I want you to consider a different story. What if you could build something sustainable from the start? What if you could work intensely when needed, but always come back to balance? What if the habits you built now became the foundation for a business that supports your life instead of consuming it? The paying your dues myth is keeping you small. It's keeping you exhausted and building something you will eventually want to escape from. Start differently. Build differently. Your future self will thank you. If you're ready to make some changes in your business, drop me a message or comment changes below. Otherwise, all the links you need to follow me are in the show notes. That's it for today. I will see you guys next week.